and welcome. I'm Shanique Hughes, and today we're going to start a seminar about relationships. I'm with the relationship expert, Tina Konkin. How are you?
I'm good, and it's so good to be here, Shanique, and to see you again.
Thank you so much for coming. I believe that now more than ever, we really need some sort of guidance when it comes to relationships. A little bit about myself, those who don't know me, and then we're going to go into your story. I was born and raised in Mexico City. My father was American. He went to Vietnam. He was a helicopter pilot. My mother was a English teacher and child psychologist. My mother was married 4 times. My father was married 5 times. When he proposed to my mother in Mexico City, they met in Mexico City, my father was married in America. And my mother didn't know this. My father, I hate to say it, but there's no other way to categorize it. He was very affected by the war, and one of the symptoms was a pathological liar. And we can say that, was it the war, was it not, was it his background? But at the end of the day, he did fly my mother to Houston and my grandparents and put this false wedding. Yet my mother really believed that she was married. So when they went back to Mexico City, and my mother used to record all her classes while going to college for psychology, there was this tape that she heard my father and his wife in America talking about, poor Mexican girl, she does not know that you're married and that you have a daughter.
Wow.
And so we fast forward. My mother remarried. My father went back to Houston. I never saw him again until I was about 12 years old. My mother remarried to a pediatrician. And this is a part of my life that I have never revealed, because most people see me at the red carpets, just working and just being myself, and they don't understand who is Shanique and why does she do the things that she does and why is she passionate about people. Well, turns out that I was severely physically, mentally, and sexually abused as a child from my mother, my stepfather, my father, and when I was 16, I left home. I was in Houston. I technically graduated from being homeschooled, went to college, and since I was 16, almost turning 17, I've been on my own.
Wow. And
now, as an adult, I have a little girl. I'm a single mom. She's 4.5. And with this background, what are the odds? How can someone say that this girl that is half Mexican, half American can defy the odds of not repeating the abusive patterns, of toxic relationships, of I'm a single mother. I already have enough experience with toxic relationships. And so in this era where relationships are a enterprise, and sex is a commodity, and you swipe right, you swipe left, and there's 1,000 of options. How do you know that your soulmate is that one when you have another 1,000 maybe waiting around the corner? So I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Well, Shanique, your story is a story, and we all have stories, and that's what I loved about what you just shared, is that, does your story define you? Do you let it define you? Do you become a victim to your story? And I think if you look back at your own life, you'll probably see that there were times that you did just that. You became that victim to that story. And at some point, something clicked and you thought, I'm either going to repeat history, and now I have a child. So now there's somebody at risk, not just you anymore. And so I want to share my story, because my story is not about the single mom. It's not about marriage. People call me the relationship guru. And I have worked for the last nearly 25 years with marriages, with relationships, and with divorcees, because it's at a epidemic rate, okay? So, but to be honest, my heart has always been for the children. And it doesn't matter if they're in a single home situation or bantered back and forth like a tennis ball, as you were, it is for the children, because I truly believe that it's the children that are victims. And so when I started out my career, long before I started working with relationships, I worked with children and I worked with teenagers. And I found that as I got older and I got married myself, I realized that, man, like I'm working with these kids, but I'm sending them back into these toxic homes, you know? And so what chance do they have at not, maybe they feel good because they spent, a week with Miss Tina at a camp and they feel all good about themselves, but then they've got to go home. And so I remember my husband and I thinking, man, this parenting stuff is hard. This marriage stuff is not easy. And as we share in the next few episodes, I am a victim of infidelity, but I had to make up my mind that I didn't want to be a victim or I'd stay that way. And so as I share my story, I came from a background of 2 Italian parents, 100%, and kids should be seen and not heard. And I too experienced, not from my dad, or I didn't have a stepdad, but family members, let's say close by, and close family friends. I experienced sexual abuse and physical abuse, and there was a lot of that, but I also experienced a lot of bullying. I'm an immigrant, and so we moved from Belgium, where I was born, to Canada, and I did experience a lot of, I call it abuse, but today it's called bullying.
Bullying at home or bullying in school?
At school. The bullying was really at school because they'd never seen a non-English speaking child. I was a really smart kid, but I had to be put back from the 3rd grade to the 1st grade because I was the biggest kid there, but didn't speak a word of English. And unfortunately, I didn't show up in a big city. It was a tiny little town. They'd never seen a kid that didn't speak English. So that's sort of my background, and that's where my passion for children came from. And fast forward to after I got married, we started seeing that our own relationship was unhealthy, and how I was parenting, though I loved kids, was going astray. And I wasn't being a good mom and didn't know where that came from because all I ever wanted was a child. And I joked to my husband, I said, I only married you to have babies, you know that, right? So that was the joke at home. And all of a sudden I'm finding myself not being that mom I always dreamed I would be. And that's what made me seek help, was really at the parenting level first. And after that happened, our passion changed. I thought, man, if I could just help moms and dads be healthy, if I could help marriages, even if the marriage breaks up, but I could help a single mom and a single dad be healthy themselves, right? So that the children aren't pawns and they're not in the middle, then these kids have a greater chance. So it's not about, of course, 2 parents in a healthy home is ideal, but that's not our world, right? So how do you teach parents to be healthy? That's where my heart is at, is teaching parents, even single parents, to be healthy so that they're passing that on. So to be healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, in every way, and spiritually.
And that way you can condition the environment where the children are situated, whether the parents are together or divorced. Now, you live in Orange County, we're shooting in LA, and Orange County has the greatest divorce rate in the country. It's 73%, correct?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And it has the highest single parent home anywhere. So that too, there's a lot of single parents in Orange County, and especially I think the highest rate is Newport Beach.
So in a world where we come from broken relationships, broken homes, I think the biggest thing that most people, and just to wrap up this segment, is everybody in business, they have a mentor. They have a business guru. Everyone, when they want to learn something, they go to college. But when it comes to relationships, we don't have that mentor, or we don't have that relationship, that couple that we look up to, that we can call, or that book. And I really believe that whatever we want the most is the things that we have to master. We have to master relationships, finances, business, but we really have to work at it. And thinking that you're going to cruise along in a relationship or you're going to be in the dating world without really putting an effort in who you are, what kind of people you attract, and how is it that instead of always thinking, what am I going to receive out of this relationship, what can I give? How can I impact other people's lives? And how can I really select the person that I can grow old with or have that life partnership and not go from one toxic relationship to another one. And thank you so much for being here. I hope this helps and that we get to work and really in these 5-minute segments you get a lot out of, and that's my commitment to you. And so thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Shanique. It was good to be here. Yeah.